Hello and welcome to Car Dealer Live. I'm delighted so many people enjoyed yesterday's broadcast, and we'll be back as often as we can be, bringing you the latest news and information from experts, as well as some interviews with manufacturers and dealers over the coming days and weeks. But for today, we've got a fantastic panel. Hello and welcome to Car Dealer Live. I'm delighted so many people enjoyed yesterday's broadcast, and we'll be back as often as we can be, bringing you the latest news and information from experts, as well as some interviews with manufacturers and dealers over the coming days and weeks. But for today, we've got a fantastic, hopefully that's fixed things. I've silenced my computer. I'm really sorry about that. These hiccups are going to happen with these things. We'll try and get cracking again. So, okay. Today, I've got Sentient Automotive Solutions with me. The firm was started by Managing Director Ali May Khalil. He's here with us on the line. We've also got a number of his colleagues, including Paul Averson, who's a Principal Consultant, and Melanie Hayward, who's an Automotive Consultant as well. So firstly, Ali, can you just tell us a little bit about what you do for dealers? I've described you as a crisis consultant. You must be pretty busy over the last few days and weeks. Tell me a little bit about what you do.
Right, okay. Well, yeah, I mean, I don't know, a crisis consultant, but good at creating a crisis. So Sentient Automotive Solutions, what we do is we're an automotive consultancy. And simply put, we help our clients to improve. We're there, whether we work with them on a one-off basis or continually, to improve their business performance. And that could be from a number of things, from their leadership team, sales, marketing, expenditure, growth, expansion, or contraction, whichever. And we design everything ourselves. So we work in partnership with our dealers on a one-to-one basis, whether they be independent dealers. So we work with dealers with maybe 30, 40, 50 cars, all the way through to major groups. And we sit alongside them and make sure they achieve what we agree they're going to achieve. So that's what we do, and the team are pragmatic and down to earth, I like to think, and get the doing done, you know. And
keeping very busy at the moment, I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's things have changed very slightly, of course. Whereas we'd be doing a lot of our work in dealer, you know, coaching teams, working with leadership teams, identifying opportunity, and the like. Of course, we're not doing that. We're sat at home for obvious reasons. But on the other side of that, of course, the phone is incredibly busy at the moment with our current clients. Got lots of questions to ask. You know, those who are on our books, if you like, that we work with every month or every couple of months or however, are calling regularly to say, what does this mean for us? What does this mean for us? What does this mean for us? What do you think we should do about this? There's a lot of uncertainty. And what we, through this sort of choppy waters, we provide that service to our clients just to advise.
So, Ali, let's start with some information then about what I mean. You've been chatting to me over the last couple of days. You've written some articles for the Car Dealer magazine website. Let's talk furloughing staff. I mean, this morning I've had to make some incredibly tough decisions. It's been the most painful thing I've ever done in business. And there's probably other businesses up and down the country making these tough calls. Yeah. Can I ask about furloughing staff firstly, and what does that mean for those people who are put on furlough? And can we still engage them in the business?
No.
So I can't. So we're not even allowed to talk to them.
Well, I mean, that's probably a bit draconian, but fundamentally, there is a lot of confusion around it. And the first thing I would say is, before you make any decisions on furloughing anybody, you've got to get that right. Whether if you have a HR department, you know, legal advisors. As a consultant, we advise our clients to make sure they try and make the right decisions. Furloughing staff is a commercial decision. So if you imagine, would you ordinarily have laid that person off, is our interpretation, okay? Because of the current business climate. Because if the answer to that is yes, then the reason that the job retention scheme was launched by the government was to say, hang on, don't lay them off. We will support them, or your business, up to 80% or a maximum of £2,500 per month to keep them on your books, keep them on the payroll until things ease, return to normal, and then of course you've still got that employee. Whereas had the government not have done that, then of course you're probably making unilateral and wholesale changes to your staffing because you can't afford to pay them, so you're letting people go left, right, and centre. So that is principally what that initiative was designed to achieve. But there are things between the lines on it. There's things that I'm sure the larger groups, they're all over it, and I'm sure they're well advised. But there's many, many businesses and conversations I've had many times over the last few days, and as Paul and Melanie and everybody else has, is the furloughing of staff isn't just a case of, right, send them home and you get 80% of your wages, which is how a lot of people have perceived it.
Yeah, I've interpreted it.
You know, isn't it? I mean, guys, Paul, Mel, you know that. They're just sort of, oh, that's all right, I'll just go home and get 80% of the wages and the business will pay for it.
Yeah, thinking that they were going to retain the workforce to work.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Am I right in my understanding then that you shouldn't furlough the staff if you were able to send them home with a job description to,
Correct.
you know, to in effect work from home? They should still be being proactive, working to the best of their
Yeah, if
ability.
there's work available.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and being paid by their employer what they originally were being paid for.
That's right. So the furloughing of staff means essentially that you've laid them off.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Essentially, you know, by the book, you've laid them off. So they're not allowed to work for you because if the government's paying them, then you should be paying them. But
you want to keep these people not actively involved, but you want to keep them informed of what's going on. I'm confused about how can I contact them? We're not allowed to obviously do it via staff email. Is it a case of having to send the messages via your mobile phone as you would a friend to keep them informed of what's going on? Because they're all sat at home not doing anything, wondering what's going to happen next.
I mean, it's a good question. One, I'm not sure I've got the absolute right answer because I think there's a lot of grey area around it. What I would say is that, you know, internal communications, formal communications, I would say are probably on the wrong side. I think it's got to be to keep them engaged. It's got to be a personal thing. Phone them, call them.
I've been on the WhatsApp groups with my teams, just you know, boosting the morale, just little memes, whatever you call them, memes, things like that. Just trying to boost a bit of morale on there.
Absolutely WhatsApp groups or anything similar to that. Because essentially, if you're going to furlough somebody, you're saying, look, I've got no work for you. There's nothing you're going to be expected to do for the business. You're now officially laid off, but you're going to be remaining on the payroll. You'll receive X, Y, Z money until things ease, and we'll reevaluate the situation. From the 1st of March, they're giving 3 months, haven't they? The government have said backdate to the 1st of March, look at it again in 3 months' time.
So, Ali, sorry to interrupt you there. One of the things that we were discussing earlier was about the money that's available from the government for this 80%. I think there's some confusion with businesses about what that means. Are they going to just be given the 80% that they pay directly on to their furloughed staff member, or are businesses still going to have to contribute and worry about the cash flow that will have an impact on to keep those staff members in furlough?
Right. So at the moment, and of course it is a moving feast, again, our interpretation of that is that, say, for example, you had a member of staff on £20,000, £25,000 per annum gross. So they're, you know, £2,000 a month salary. So it falls under the 2.5. However, that salary does consist of, from an employer, of tax, of course, income tax, and pension contributions if they've opted in, of course, and employers' national insurance contributions. So you have to furlough somebody, you have to leave them on the payroll, which means that you still have to pay as a business what you would have paid the government for their income tax and their national insurance contribution. So roughly £400 odd on a £25,000 a year salary.
Is that 80% or 100% of what you would have been paying?
That's the amount to retain them, the 100% on your payroll. Now, what the government are saying they're going to do is pay the employee plus their own national insurance contributions, 80%. Of course, the businesses, got discretion to pay more than that. You know, a business can, some are paying 90%, some are paying 100. But I think the crucial part of this is to recognise that the business can only make one claim per month. So they have to decide who they're going to furlough, add up how much that 80%, if it's 80% is, what that total lump sum is. And the government software system they're setting up, you make a claim for that amount, which they will then pay you. But in the short term, of course, which is probably, I think, the thing that some might have missed. Many are all over this, and we'll have different opinions, I'm sure. But one thing is for sure, is that you've got to pay them out your own cash flow because it's a grant. So the government aren't going to pay each individual 80%. You know, here's your £2,000, here's your £2,000, here's your £2,000. The government are going to pay the business one payment as a grant every month, or whatever it is, for the total amount of furloughed workers as identified on the HMRC system. So you tag them as furloughed. You're paying their employers' national insurance contributions to keep them on the payroll. You're claiming 80% times 10 people or whatever it is, 20 grand or whatever it is, you get that. But we don't know how long that's going to take the government, given everything that's going on, to get this mobilised, up and running, and get that money back into a business. You might not get it till April.
So with that in mind, there's going to be a lot of businesses out there, a lot of car dealerships that are going to come under huge pressure when it comes to cash flow, over, especially considering March new plate registration has just happened. A lot of people are going to be on the wrong side on their bank accounts. Do you think these business interruption loans are worth looking into? And is there anything that the dealership owners should worry about with those? Or is it the panacea that we need?
Right. Well, two answers to that, really. First of all, absolutely. If it's the difference between staying alive or dying, which is why they're there. But I would encourage dealers of a certain size, I would say, as well, especially around the independent side of things, where the decision is very much the owner of the business is the majority shareholder or the entire shareholder. The reason for that is that the business interruption loans, whilst it's hugely welcomed, and I might add the government are doing, in my view, a fantastic job of all of this. So I don't envy them at all. But the business interruption loan is a loan. It's money that's been available, liquidity made available to the banks. The banks are not being terribly generous with the rates. They are pretty standard interest rates. But crucially, many of the big hitters are demanding personal guarantees. So just before the business accepts one of these business interruption loans, it's worth knowing that you're probably going to have to guarantee that if you're an independent or you have a group, but you're a shareholder, majority shareholder some way. So, in essence, you default on that, they're coming after your house. So it's not a grant. And I've heard from several, and I spoke to a few clients, and again, I'm sure many people are all over this and they're getting good advice from, there's lots of great advice out there at the moment, lots of great businesses I've seen offering free advice and good advice. But again, I'd just add that it is not a grant. People sometimes think, I can apply for this 100 to 300,000 pounds. It's not a grant. It is a loan, just like any other. But the money that the banks have been able to get their hands on to lend it to you with a margin on top, they want a personal guarantee. A lot of the big ones do. So think long and hard before you take on more borrowing, because yes, the short-term cash flow ease, it keeps you in business, it's the right thing to do. But do not neglect the fact that you are going to have an interest payment liability. You are going to have a personal liability.
Do you think people realise how long this is going to last? I mean, I've chatted to a few dealers over the last couple of days. Some of the big dealer groups are planning for a 3-month interruption. Do you think that the dealers you're talking to realise how long this could be out effectively our business is shut down for?
I don't think so. I don't think they've got a clue.
I think any of us do, really, do we?
Sorry?
I don't think any of us do, really.
No. I mean, certainly I know you've been talking to some of our clients over the last day or two, Paul. What's their feeling in terms of when they're going to get going normal again? What are they saying?
Well, I think for the moment, and I definitely think it's the right thing to do, people are thinking about next week, the week after, you know, getting to the end of April, and certainly just focusing on what they can do to retain a sense of normality with the customers. I don't think anyone really knows. And my frustration personally is that when you look at the outbound media there, it will convince you that it's going to be 3 to 6 months. So a lot of the businesses that I've spoken to, obviously, as you know, our clients have just been keeping on the straight and narrow, if you like, and just thinking, right, we've got X amount more in the bank. The client I spoke to yesterday had managed to sell 3 or 4 cars this week at a distance, and they're happy that they've got that money in the bank now from the funders, and they're continuing as normal for now. I get the relevancy of the question, and I understand why we need to discuss it. But I think we sort of meet to that with the relevancy of let's just keep going and we'll see what happens. So, personally, I've been looking at what's happened in the different countries and trying to piece a timeline together that way, James.
I think, I mean, it's a very good point. I mean, I think it's probably a good time to talk about how businesses, how dealerships can stay open during this time, because I know you guys have got some great advice on that. And what are you telling customers, Paul, on how they can operate in this new world?
Well, James, it starts from keeping in touch with your customers, doesn't it? And again, trying to develop that sense of normality with them. And that can be anything really, from rescheduling any appointments that you've already got. So, for example, if you are a regional manager or an area salesperson at home, rescheduling your appointments with business owners to a best guess date. So I've certainly done that with a few of my clients where we've put a date in the diary for sort of end of April, and we've said, let's keep talking. But also the people that we deal with in the independent sector, we're asking them to continue, and I say continue because it is sometimes in the motor trade something that doesn't always happen. But with our clients, we're saying continue your retention conversations with your customers. So people need to really start talking about their new vehicle 3 to 5 months before they're due to change. So given what we've just said about time frame, I don't think there's any issue with, we don't need to change any of that behavior. And it just keeping in touch with them, and keeping conversations normal, James, with them, and just making sure that from that salesman's point of view as well, that salesperson's point of view, they've got a routine. So obviously if they're at home and they have access to their database, check in with your retention customers, but even wider than that, call your customers who've had a car from you, for the last 12 months, 24 months. How are you? How are you coping? Is everything okay? Do you need anything from us? No, not at all.
And that's the thing. Some
business as usual
have been sent home from work, like they've been, I don't know. And spot on what you said there, Paul, about retention and starting the conversations now. I think one thing that people forget about is most people, everybody's had a holiday cancelled. They've had everything cancel on them. Everything. Can't even go out for a meal. So you're at home, you've got virtually nothing to look forward to at the moment. You're probably at your wit's end, having to homeschool. No, we are at home, the kids are off. Then there you are with a proposition around a new vehicle, used, whichever, to purchase. A lot of people will be looking at cars online because they need something to look forward to. Now, these people who are maybe 3, 6, 9, 12 months away from the end of their finance agreements, have the salespeople at home been given the database? Are they pre-stacking the deals, getting values for the cars, reaching out to the customer and saying, look, in 3 months' time, your payment's going to be X, Y, and Z on the new so-and-so. We need to get one ordered now so it'll be ready for then. These conversations can be done remotely. Regards to engaging your sales team, Paul touched on it earlier, just around trying to normalize things. You can still have a sales meeting. You just do it like we're doing on Zoom.
Absolutely.
But can you sell cars at this time? Is it is it morally right to be selling cars at this time? There are people out there, key workers, who need to keep moving. There will be, and some of those will be coming to the end of a PCP or HP agreement. They're going to need to interact with a dealer, and there's going to be a need for cars. So how do dealers actually do that this time?
Well, the moral standpoint on it is, now I know in the world we live in that, you know, it doesn't take much for everybody to throw their arms in the air and, you know, claim, you know, their virtuous opinion. The fact of the matter is there's mouths that need to be fed. So when everyone puts down their, you know, their righteousness, we have to understand that yes, it's terrible what's going on, and yes, the frontline people are doing a fabulous job. And what we do, including Sentience, isn't of any real consequence to the world. You know, we just help dealers to sell more, make more, and they want to sell more, make more. Get that. However, I don't think from a moral standpoint that there's anything wrong with retailing vehicles at the moment digitally, just the same as there's nothing wrong with ordering something off Amazon that's be delivered. I can still order clothes. I can still order, we ordered a little car seat, a bike seat to clip on the back of the bike for the kids from Halfords came today. You know, online retailing is online retailing. So if we're going to put a line through online retailing because you know, the car dealer's getting a bad name for trading, well, put a line through Amazon, put a line through Halfords, put a line through everything else online apart from food delivery. Because if you lived on my road, all day there's delivery drivers.
It's so difficult, though, Ali, because I mean, in the news this morning that Cazoo, an online-only used car retailer, has stopped business. They've stopped delivering cars. I mean, if anybody could have made it work at this time, it should be them, surely.
Well, possibly, yeah, possibly, but they do have, you know, maybe, to be slightly contentious, a little bit much more of a, with the recent announcement of their further 100 million funding, probably got a little bit more of a blanket than the dealer with 50 cars on the front, you know, who that's a husband and wife business, you know, whose son's employed and their children's mortgage, their homes depend on the decisions that are taken. So for every Cazoo that have, you know, said, okay, fine, and, you know, and fair play to them. But of course, you do, if you're shut, you do qualify for things, you know, as well. Let's just be clear on that. But anyhow, coming away from that, back to the online retailing is a dealer. Yes, you can transact online, and how transactable are you online is what I would encourage dealers to now look at. Whether it helps you in the short term is a big question mark. But as we move to a more, this could force dealers just get fitter. I see it as an opportunity for them.
How adaptive is your business? Everybody's going to be asking themselves that question now. How have we been able to adapt to this situation? And dealers will vary in their response. You know, some dealers are going to have been straight online. They're already doing it. They've already got all the buttons on their website they needed to facilitate sales online. They were ready. And some dealers are going to be sat there thinking, help, what on earth do I do now except shut the doors and furlough everyone?
They can't take a finance application. Exactly. There'll be, and it's now's the time, like you say, Mel, absolutely, to really look at your capabilities for transacting online, because are we in for a new era? Is this the dawn of, you know, progressing towards a more online offering? If people get used to it now over the next few months.
I think some might say that era was already here, and it's just probably been quite a wake-up call to those that haven't realised it yet, to be honest. There are some businesses out there that are just, you know, fully in the swing with things, with everything going on already. And it is, you know, it's incredible to see really the ability that they have to adapt when something like this, which is so, you know, unexpected and so shocking to, you know, our culture, but they're able to just put on a new shell and crack on.
Think about new cars. You know, you can order a brand new car online and not take delivery for 3 months, but you can still reserve it and build it and choose it.
Yeah.
So the hope is that this will all be over in 3 months, whether it is or not, who knows, but that's the hope. So going back to the point you made earlier, James, about engaging the sales teams, if we're having virtual meetings, if we're targeting salespeople on activity, outbound calls for customers who are currently financed with your business, outbound calls to service customers, live chat, instead of it being a bot chat, can you now take it on so that your sales team can take it in turns to actually communicate directly via the website if they're at home and conduct their own live chats. What about video tours of cars on FaceTime or WhatsApp? Book an appointment, ring the phone, see the car, and then you can transact that way. You can send and receive documents via WhatsApp, etc. If we're targeting, have a look at the pay plans. Can a business in the interim period recut their pay plan to reward activity and not unit sales? You know, amount of customers you've spoken to, amount of deals that you've stacked up. Because if you've got a product that can be ordered for 3 months, 6 months time, then don't wait to come out the other side and then expect everybody to re-engage. You know, we've got opportunity now just to make sure that we're still functioning. So I would say mobilize your sales teams from home. You know, have a sales meeting in the morning, engage them with activity-based targets, pay them on activity-based targets, and still manage your sales pipeline. Because you're not just going to come back in. Sorry, one last point I've got to make, it's just popped into my head and I'll shut up, is going back to the furloughed workers bit, right? Think about salespeople. There's a lot of dealers out there working on the assumption if they just furlough 20 salespeople, what, in 3 months' time, 20 you're going to walk back in and say, right, I'm ready for business, Gov. We need to think about what we're doing. If we are going to furlough them, how, like you said, James, how do we keep it relevant with them? Because you could end up having half a workforce when things return to hopefully normality. And the ones that are come back, are they disengaged?
I mean, you know what it's like to go on a holiday, don't you? Even if just to go on a 2-week holiday away, especially from the motor trade, you go away for 2 weeks, you come back and it's just like a minefield. You can't get your brain back in action just from having 2 weeks off. Imagine 3 months off fully paid indoors. What that's going to do to your productivity. It's so relevant. And is it all really just about being paid, or is it about keeping your brain active, keeping relevant, keeping able to return to work?
Keeping match fit, isn't it?
Absolutely. Oh, well, that's a perfect analogy, and Ali, you'll love that one. But it's perfect, isn't it? They're not all just going to be sat at home doing absolutely nothing, are they, on the sofa for 3 months and then come back all chubby, ready to play? It's not going to happen.
We'd like to think that this 3 months will lead up to some pent-up demand, and actually when we can open dealerships again, there will be people desperate to spend their money and get their new cars, and hopefully that will be the thing that helps the economy surge again.
Absolutely. We've got to think positive. We've got to think positive. Is that now there's never been a better time, despite all of this, as a business, to just look inwards, work on your business now. You've spent however long working in it every day, busy. Now's the time to step back and work on it. Be positive and look and think, has my business stacked enough for a digitalized consumer?
Yeah.
Can I offer the sort of level of service that is required? What if, like you say, James, things that, when things hopefully return to normality and there's some pent-up demand, have I kept my team match fit in the interim period? Because they can't just, the whistle blows and play a game. They'll look awful, won't they? They need to keep training, keep working, keep thinking, keep engaged. As I say, keep retargeting them week by week on their activity, so that hopefully when the doors open, they're just, first of all, super engaged and motivated to come back to work. That's the type of people you want dealing with pent-up demand, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, right. Guys, can I say a massive thank you for joining me today? It's been really useful to have you guys on Car Dealer Live. If anybody wants to contact Sentience Automotive Solutions, Ali, how do they do that?
Just head over to the website if you want some help or want to chat anything through. It's all on there, sentienceas.com. Everything should be on there. Hopefully, you'll see what we do, who we are, etc. And if you want to reach out, please do so, and we'll give you a call and try and help in any way we can.
Yeah, of course we will.
Lovely. Thank you ever so much to
James.
Melanie as well for your time.
Thanks, James.
Really appreciate it. If anybody's got any questions about today's show, any questions they want answered during this time, they can contact me. I'm on james@blackpoolmedia.co.uk. Find me on Twitter @CarDealerEd or LinkedIn or any other social network, you'll probably find me. Over the next few days and weeks, got some brilliant guests lined up. Tomorrow at midday, I've got Dash Gupta, CEO of Marshall Motor Group. On Tuesday next week, Robert Forrester from Virtue. Then we're going to do another logistics show on Wednesday, and the diary's filling up pretty fast with lots of people who want to chat. I'll publish a full schedule on our website, but check back every day, weekday at midday on YouTube. If you subscribe, hopefully you'll get a notification. I'm not sure, as I proved at the beginning of this show, how this works. So hopefully I'll get the hang of it in the next couple of days. But until tomorrow, thank you very much for joining us, and goodbye.
Thank you very much.
Bye. Thank you.